All right, for more on this, we're being joined now by Afshin Rattansi, host of Going Underground here on RT. Afshin, good to see you. So you had the opportunity to meet with Julian Assange a couple of years ago at the Ecuadorian embassy. These charges against him were not yet known at the time, but he said all along that the U.S. would eventually do this to him. But the charge is conspiracy for what they say is his role in assisting Chelsea Manning hack classified government computers. Do you think these charges are fair?
Well, that'll be up to the courts, won't it? I've got to say, it's been a pretty crazy day here in Britain. I've just got back from Doughty Street Chambers, world-famous human rights law chambers, talking to Jeffrey Robertson, QC, about the case. It is interesting, you know, there's been a terrific amount of politicization of this case already here in Britain, with the British Foreign Secretary coming out saying Assange, it's great that he's been arrested. In fact, the Prime Minister Theresa May saying the House of Commons should welcome this arrest. Amal Clooney recently, and she's from Doughty Street Chambers, that's where she was practicing law. Amal Clooney is the special envoy of the Foreign Office on media freedom. And what this case, more than anything about the exact charges as regards the extradition to the US, is to do with, and is what is alarming people, is what it means for press freedom. I don't know whether people in the New York Times newsroom or the Guardian newsroom here in London or the Der Spiegel newsroom in Berlin, whether they'll be sleeping tonight, because this has such chilling consequences for press freedom in NATO nations. An Obama administration Justice Department statement to the Washington Post back in 2013 said and claimed that we mustn't prosecute Julian Assange, because if we prosecute him, we're going to have to prosecute CNN and who knows who else who have reproduced the revelations of war crimes. To try and get him on hacking is one thing. The indictment as regards extradition also relates directly to the Afghan war logs, the Iraq war logs, and Cablegate. These are important documents that press all around the world used to be able to unmask what the United States government, under quite a few presidents, has been doing to suppress information from the American public and the publics of NATO nations, and it should be said, against all countries, including Russia.
Now, Afshin, I'm glad you brought up press freedom, because the UK will likely allow the extradition to the U.S. for Assange to face these conspiracy charges. This, of course, now after a judge there in England has found him guilty of skipping out on bail from a previous sexual assault charge stemming from Sweden. So will Assange's fate determine the future of journalism and whistleblowers?
I think that's without doubt. I should, though, correct you there. There are no charges of sexual assault against Julian Assange. There never have been. Such is the ability for character assassination against Julian Assange. And remember, for 7 years, if people on RT were saying there is the fear of an extradition by a grand jury in the United States, the mainstream media was saying, no, it isn't. It's about sexual assault in Sweden. Now what's worrying is that in the past few hours, he's been sent down. He's been told that he's guilty of jumping bail on an accusation, on an allegation that no longer even exists, is not even being pursued by Swedish authorities. And as regards what the British judiciary, who are going to decide whether he'll be extradited to the United States, there are questions over the partiality of the judicial system. This court judge, Michael Snow, said Julian Assange, he's characterized Julian Assange as having the behavior of a narcissist who cannot get beyond his own selfish interest. Of course, if you're the relatives of those Reuters journalists gunned down, as we saw on the collateral murder videos, we're going to wonder, is he the narcissist, or is narcissism something in the eye of the beholder?
Wow, stunning remarks from the judge there. And real quickly, Afshin, the fact that you've been a journalist in London for a long time, the fact that the UK has gone in and arrested Assange at the behest of the United States, what does that tell you about the US-UK relationship?
Well, what's quite amazing is how the government here, including the Home Secretary, the Foreign Secretary, they have gone really hard on Assange, saying justice will now be served. Ironically, they said justice in a British court, but of course, it's nothing to do with a British court now. It's a British proxy for the United States grand jury. It's, day 34 of Chelsea Manning's incarceration because he refuses to give evidence. But there are signs of hope as regards the Julian Assange side of things. There are obviously demonstrators, lots of supporters all around the world, even if, as you say, Donald Trump no longer seems to love WikiLeaks. In fact, he doesn't seem to not know really what WikiLeaks is. The shadow Home Secretary in this country, Jeremy Corbyn, the shadow Home Secretary, said this is what Julian Assange and WikiLeaks are, quotes, guilty of, exposing the murderous outcome of the US military assault on Iraq. So that's a pretty high-up opposition member of parliament here, and no doubt there will be politicians all around the world, and no doubt in the Arab world, I should say, as well, because, of course, WikiLeaks exposed documents showing the corruption of US-backed proxies across the Arab world that arguably led to the Arab Spring.
Certainly just the beginning of this story, Afshin. Appreciate your time today. Afshin Rattansi, thank you for shedding a little light for us today.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.